Hello and welcome to APS30. I'm Monica Adamant, the Executive Director of Communications for Albuquerque Public Schools and the host of this show. It's a pleasure to be with you. We want to thank the City of Albuquerque for giving Albuquerque Public Schools the opportunity monthly to bring some topics to you that you may or may not know about. Today we're going to talk about two new programs that are designed to bring campus life closer to the administration so that we have a better understanding of what the real needs and challenges are at the school level for both students and teachers. So I'd like to introduce our guests. First we have Nicholas Martinez.
Hello.
Nicholas is a senior at CEC, Career Enrichment Center or Early College Academy, and a member of SuperSAC.
Yes.
And SuperSAC is the Superintendent's Student Advisory Council. Thank you for being with us, Nicholas.
Thank you for having me.
We also have Jonathan Seiss, and Jonathan is a kindergarten teacher at Armijo Elementary and also a member of the newly formed SuperTAC, which is the Superintendent's Teacher Advisory Council. So we're going to start first with Nicholas because SuperSAC has been in existence for a while now. Yes. Tell us a little bit about how that works.
So SuperSAC, basically every month we come to the APS building and we have a meeting based on topics that were brought from the students or topics that are occurring within the APS board. And usually we talk about things such as like bullying issues or maybe even testing issues or absent issues going on within the APS schools. And our job is to get the students' perspective of what they think could be changed within the schools. So every month we would always talk to the superintendent and tell him, hey, a few students have argued about this on this issue, or we've argued that maybe this is not such a great idea for the school. And I think it's a really great program for any student to get involved in, especially if you're looking to possibly make a change for your school and for the students that you're representing in that classroom area.
I've sat in on many of the SuperSAC meetings and I'm always inspired to hear just how involved some students are. I think one of the beauties of that program is that you have more than 40 high school
Yes.
students who are selected. And when you get in that room with the superintendent and some of his leadership team, you're sort of your own little United Nations.
We are.
You represent all the high schools in the city, and you were selected because you're an individual who the principal has identified as someone who's really in touch with what goes on campus. Now, in the meetings that you've attended, have you ever been surprised by some of the topics? Do you find that the student concerns are different throughout the city, or are there more commonalities?
With my school, it's sort of different because it's such a small school, but I've noticed that there's a common issue between APS schools. At the same time, you have that variety of difference within each school. Some schools might have more problems with testing than others. Some schools might have more problems with not being able to talk to their counselor than other schools, you know. So with every school, you're brought an issue, and we all kind of seem to find a term and an agreement on how this issue should be dealt with. And I think that's really great with every school is we get everyone's opinions, you know. We get people from Sandia, we get people from Rio Grande and Atrisco, and then we get people from El Dorado and from each part of Albuquerque. So I think what's great about that, like I said, is you get the opinions and you acquire the kind of policy that we should put on the issue. And I just think that's just the great thing about SuperSAC is we get to talk to each other. And even though we don't agree all the time, we always find a common ground to fully agree on for the policy. So that's great.
Well, SuperSAC was the model for SuperTAC, and there's only really been one meeting so far, but Superintendent Winston Brooks was so pleased with the results of SuperSAC that he really, for years now, this is his 6th year in the district, and he has been searching for a way to get more of a teacher voice into the administration. Difficult sometimes given the sheer numbers of Albuquerque public schools. You know, we have 142 schools, we have between 12 and 14,000 employees, 62 departments, and well, we're never out of issues. We all know that. But you've already been to the first meeting. What was your impression?
It is wonderful to have our voice as we sit in the classroom and we have concerns, issues, problems, celebrations, and we want to bring those to somebody. And it's wonderful that there is a place now where we can take them to, and the Super TAC is that place we can bring that information to.
Why do you think it's important that teachers have more of a direct line to central administration, in this case, a direct line to the superintendent?
Absolutely. It is unbelievably important. We're the practitioners in the classroom. We were in the front lines. And Superintendent Brooks said we're the individuals with the boots on the ground, and we are working with the students directly, with the families directly, with our community directly. And it is beautiful to have any issues, concerns, and bring them directly to the administration, associate superintendents, district leaders, and really address those issues early on and be able to find a solution in a room amongst other practitioners, teachers in the room.
I thought it would be interesting to hear from the superintendent himself about this, both programs, Super SAC and Teacher TAC. So we sat down with an interview with him recently, and we're going to pause just shortly to take a look at the interview with Superintendent Winston Brooks to hear his thoughts behind Super SAC and Teacher TAC. Superintendent Winston Brooks. Superintendent Brooks, what is Super SAC and Teacher SAC?
Well, Super SAC is an acronym for Superintendent Student Advisory Council. It's been in place now about 4 years. And Teacher SAC is an acronym, so to speak, of Teacher Superintendent Advisory Council, which is brand new this year. Super SAC was actually an idea that I came with when I came here from Wichita. I actually had a Superintendent Student Advisory Council. This one here actually has become much bigger and better. And it's an opportunity. I mean, the Super SAC, let's take them individually. The Super SAC idea is that the board and I and all the administrators in this district make rules about kids, and yet we very seldom ask kids about what they think of the rules. A great example of that, for example, is using electronic devices in classrooms, whether they be cell phones or iPads now or anything else. And we made a policy in the district about the use of cell phones at school, and we really did it without any input at all from students. We put Super SAC in place, and of course they have all sorts of interest. We also use them to discuss budget ideas. We've used them to talk about teacher evaluation. We most recently, at our first meeting this year, talked about if they knew what it took for them to graduate from high school. It's very, very interesting that, you know, back in my day, I guess, we all knew what it took to graduate from high school. How many credits of English, and so on and so forth. But kids today are so confused by what's required. It's not just a number of credits. It's not just so many English classes. It's more than that. You got to pass the SBA, and or you got to pass the end of course exam, etc., etc. So we talked to them about that, and interestingly enough, they didn't know much about what it took to graduate. And their word to us is, if we don't know, our parents sure don't know. So that's very alarming to us, a very helpful group. And then the Teacher Superintendent Advisory Council was actually put together with the encouragement, by the encouragement of the Board of Education. Super SAC has been so successful. And by the way, Super SAC comes periodically and talks at district relations meetings about what we've talked about and what we've discussed. So the board was so excited about what we're doing with Super SAC that they said, you need to have a Teacher SAC. You need to be doing the same thing with teachers. So between the union and the administration, we appointed, I think, about 21 or 22 teachers from throughout the district. And that we're now meeting with them on a monthly basis, and similar kinds of things. We make rules about teachers all the time, but we seldom ask the teachers. We'll talk to them about Common Core implementation. It's just a grassroots way of being able to find out what's really happening out there in the schools.
And in a district this large, that's always a challenge.
Oh, it's a huge challenge because, sometimes 2 phone calls or 2 emails constitute an emergency when in fact those 2 phone calls may not represent at all the vast majority. And I'm not necessarily saying that the 40 kids I meet with or the 20 teachers I meet with necessarily represent everybody, but it's a lot better than not talking to anybody. And so it's a way of being proactive, and it's a way of reaching out to teachers and students so that they have some meaningful input in what's going on in the district.
Have you been surprised at all so far by the outcome of these meetings?
Oh, I think, we've had the students for so long. We've only had 1 meeting of the Teacher SAC, but the students it's phenomenal. I don't tweet myself yet, but they're tweeting one another. They let us know how excited they are about coming. They help us build the agenda. I've been really surprised by their extraordinary enthusiasm about this. We'll go to Santa Fe probably in January or February during the legislative session. We've done that every year that we've had this group. They absolutely love the opportunity to go talk with the governor or the secretary designate or the lieutenant governor or people from the legislature. It really makes them feel like they are decision makers in the district, which is, in fact, is what we wanted them to be.
And what's your greatest hope for Teacher SAC?
Well, kind of the same thing. I mean, I hope that they can become more invested directly in the district. I was a teacher once. I know that as a teacher, you sometimes just go to your classroom, shut the door, do your own thing, and you don't really worry about the bigger system. I think what this will do is help them better understand what the system's all about. It's kind of like another new program we started this year with Parent University. We have a rather small group of parents who are now coming to school to learn about APS and the district. It actually gives them an inside look about who we are and what we do, and that's got to help garner support for moving this district forward.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So as you hear Superintendent Winston Brooks' ideas about and impressions about both Super SAC and Teacher TAC, very close to what you've heard today with our 2 guests, Jonathan Seiss, teacher at Armijo, and Nicholas Martinez, a student from CEC and ECA. I guess I'm most curious to know from both of you what you feel your greatest contribution can be to a program like this, with so much being reported about public education anymore, and depending on who you talk to. I mean, public education seems to be at a crossroads in this country, important, especially in a state like New Mexico, where the majority of families depend on a quality education to ensure the future of their kids. What would you say you can bring to the whole process that could be beneficial down the line? Jonathan, maybe you can start.
Absolutely. So I have a background with special education and general education, Master's in Curriculum and Instruction, ESL. So I bring those components to the room. I'm also a leader at the school, and so I bring the true voices of individuals from my school into the room. I'm also Vice President of Membership and Involvement in the Albuquerque Teachers Federation, and I get to speak with a variety of more of a global view of teachers in our district, and really get to have those mutual conversations and real rich conversations with those teachers, and really bring their concerns to the table and be able to communicate that being very articulate with the administration. And because this is where we have the greatest effect is in our school systems. We have our city, state, and national, but where we can really make the change at is just in our school site and within our district. And having that true voice of teachers and fellow educators in our district, bring those to the table and be able to solve those issues. That's the key thing, is that be able to have a change and be able to have somewhat of an effect and a voice in this.
Do you think that once people know that you're on Super TAC that you'll be approached more often with issues that they'd also like the superintendent and leadership team to know about?
Absolutely. So at our last staff meeting at our school, I made sure to share that I was on the Super TAC, and it's an unbelievably huge honor. I'm glad there's a student side of this as well. And what's great about this is that I want to make sure to hear the true voice from you all and let me know, so your issues, and so we can really look at these at the table, but also not only having an issue but also having a solution. We see our students day in, day out, and we're in this profession because we unbelievably love what we do, and our careers are all about supporting our community and supporting our students, because it's mostly all about students. But coming to the table with solutions, that's a key thing.
How about you, Nicholas? What do you think you bring to the table?
For me, I believe that I have not just a connection at school, but a connection with other kids around the city. I have friends who are going to Rio Grande, friends who are going to Trisco, friends who are going to El Dorado, Sandia, and every other school in the city. And I feel that I can not only get the opinions from my school, but I can also get theirs and really figure out what is bothering them about the education system here at Albuquerque. For me, I think what's really great as well is I've been in the education system for 12 years now, and there is a history between the APS and how things have gone throughout the years. So I think what, for me, I can bring is the ability to know what has worked within the past and what hasn't. And I think that's just something that's really great about Super SAC, is I can give that opinion to the superintendent. I can also give it to other kids around the school and say, hey, this is what's kind of going on with us. Is it going on with you guys? And I really think that's great that I was proud to hear that there's a Super TAC.
Yeah.
My mom actually wants to join soon. But, it's really great because not only do the students get to inform the superintendent, the teachers as well. And that's really great because I hear a lot of teachers' opinions and what they feel could be changed as well. And so knowing that I'm in Super SAC, they can go, Nick, do you mind possibly putting this as an issue that we have here in our education system? And I can bring that to the superintendent. So I think that's the greatest thing that I can bring to Super SAC.
Let me put you on the spot a little bit here, because this is a huge question,
Yes.
and I'm not even sure that I'd know the answer if you asked me. But from your point of view, I'm going to guess you're 17?
Yes.
So, from your view, at 17, what would you say is, if not the most, among the most important topics facing students in public education right now?
Is it all right if I go with two?
Sure,
Is
of
that
course
okay?
you can.
One of the most major topics is testing. We've had such a humongous problem with testing, and there's not much you can do about it, but there's a whole lot that you can change about it. You can, just recently, last year, we were put right on the spot, even the teachers were put right on the spot to do the end of course exam 1 month before school ended. So they had to stop everything that they were teaching us, and they had to start teaching us how to do well on that test. And I think that's what's very unfortunate about testing, is that we're not being educated through just the process of learning the subject. Now we have to be educated of how well to do on the test. We're being questioned every day in the classrooms to say, this is the correct answer to pick. This is what you should pick on this answer, instead of saying, well, let's look at the actual learning process of what the subject can bring. Instead of actually learning English and learning grammatical errors and spelling, you're learning about, well, what's that answer going to bring? What do you have to pick on that answer? You have to pick A, B, or C. And so that's the unfortunate part. And then I think the other issue is bullying. I myself had a problem with bullying in middle school. I got pushed into a locker, and so I think that's a really humongous issue with a lot of minority kids in the classroom. Mm-hmm. They feel that they're being, pressured to fit what the media asks them to fit. And you have a group of kids who potentially fit that part, and then you have the kids that don't. And I feel like they're fully being pressured to fit a part within school. And I think within schools you should be encouraged to be yourself so that you have a better education. So you don't have to focus on what you look like or what you wear. You can focus more on the educational part of school, more of, I'm excited to learn about history today, instead of, oh my gosh, what are they going to say about me? What are the students going to say about me if I wear this kind of shirt? So I think those are the two main problems here in the classrooms. And I'm hoping to bring that into Super SAC very soon.
And for the record, you just never know. But you and I have not talked before, so I've not. I mean, really, this is the first time I meet you. But in case anyone wants to, question the line of questioning here, I've not coached you. These are your honest answers.
Yes.
I hope that you have a voice as a student that we don't often hear. So I hope that the adults also can recognize that there's a real sincerity to what you're saying, and we do continue to do what we can around those issues. But you mentioned two big ones.
Yes.
How about you? What would you say, Jonathan? What's the most important thing in public education right now?
I echo your words. I do echo your words. As I am a graduate from Valley High School, I have seen a transition in going to all my schooling in APS. I've seen a transition between limited testing to extreme testing, and one of the major items is we're always assessing students, but we never get an opportunity to really use those assessments to really, while using this data to drive our instruction, because the time we pick up our head, it is time to give another assessment. Students are assessed ad nauseum, and as I teach kindergarten, the students ask me, Mr. Seiss, when are you going to test me? I already have 5-year-olds asking that question. I flip it and saying, I want to know how well you do. And so early on, 5 years old, they don't already have that stigma of, I'm going to be tested on this, and flipping into a positive note. That's one of the major issues that are going on, is the testing of students. The second major issue is the teacher evaluation system that's currently implemented by the Public Education Department. Many teachers are frustrated with the implementation of the evaluation system. The thing is, teachers are not fearful of being evaluated. We're always being evaluated. Please, we want to be. We want to become better at our craft. However, it is the way we are being evaluated is the issue and the question. Those are the two major issues. There are many other issues, but those are the two major issues that are affecting teachers. I'm sorry, if I can add one more.
Sure.
That there's not been an increase on salaries for public school employees. There's been an increase on money for health insurance. There's been an increase on retirement. There's been all these increases, but then the retrospect, we're going, but we are civil servants of the community, and we are all about the community. But however, how we're being supported by the community instead of being pushed. And so teachers want to be supported, and I believe through the Super TAC, we're able to bring the voice of the teachers to the table and be able to address these issues here at our district. And it's wonderful because we spoke to the board a few Wednesdays ago, and the board, it was wonderful to get that opportunity, first of all, but the board also echoes the words of the students and the teachers, and the superintendent is very pro-teacher and very pro-student, of course. And it's good to see that we're all in the same boat, but we want to be supported.
And we've not talked before.
No,
in my old life, there was time to prep. In this new role, there's not a lot. My next question has to do with something we hear a lot about. I don't imagine. I know that sometimes there is that disconnect. There's a disconnect from the student to sometimes the teacher, the principal, all the way up to the administration, and same with teaching, I'm sure, because there's so many issues that you face in one day. Do you think that the opportunity to connect in the manner that you are in both Teacher TAC and Super SAC, that'll help with that disconnect?
Go ahead, completely.
All right, you're meaning disconnect between
your communications with your teacher, your principal, all the way up to the administration?
Okay, I think Super SAC will help with that whole, there has been a very disconnection between the people up here, and especially the people up in Santa Fe and, up in the Capitol, straight down to the students. It's always hard to find that, the connection and the talk between those two, between the people here at APS and the people here over at the schools. And I think that Super SAC will help because we're kind of like that middle ground. We're kind of that person that will get their ideas and then we'll bring it to them. And then hopefully they can bring it to the higher part of the education and so on and so on. So I really think it is a really good way to connect students between the APS board, and also with the principal to the APS board, because everyone's kind of in their own little groups, and I think that with SuperStack we can start talking to each other, and we can start having a better communication between each group that's within the area. So
it certainly
really
must
great.
take the mystery out of it for you. I mean, to be able to have lunch once a month with the superintendent
yes.
and leadership team and sort of get to know him and hear from him and members of his cabinet about what's important, and then go back and share that at the school level.
Yeah, nothing's fully hidden. I mean, I think there are some hidden parts, but nothing's like fully hidden. It's laid down there right at the table. I mean, we even talk about the budget and where the money is going at some meetings, and we're probably going to get to that meeting very soon. So when you're sitting there in the board meeting, you know exactly what's going on, where the money's being placed, and it's that feeling of, wow, I know where everything's going, what's happening, and I actually can bring that back to the students, and they can know. And so it brings better knowledge throughout the whole educational community, and we can kind of all just start talking about it, and you don't have people saying that, oh, there's something that's being hidden, there's not a secret, everything's there for you to actually talk about, and people will be able to discuss about that. My friend, I talked to him about the stuff that we talk about in SuperStack, and he's like, wow, well, now I know it.
Yeah.
That's great, so he won't have to say, oh, well, they're hiding something. No, they're not. I'm giving you everything that they told us, and so I think that's great. I think it's really great.
And I believe that the Super TAC is, what's beautiful about this, there's 21 teachers that have been selected throughout the district. And from this is that it's not been only one quadrant of the city, it's been spread out through the entire city. So it's wonderful to meet other educators in the city who are not at only elementary kindergarten, but we have middle school and high school teachers as well. As we spoke to the board a few Wednesdays ago, right? I got to work along. We met at a local restaurant, and we met up, and a high school teacher, middle school teacher, and myself met, and we said, well, what are we going to talk? What are we going to speak to the board about? And so it was wonderful to meet them on a Sunday, which I would have never not otherwise met with them. But it's beautiful to have that relationship with colleagues who I don't get an opportunity to see or get an opportunity to work with because I'm at a elementary school teaching kindergarten. And what's beautiful about this Super TAC, it's teachers throughout the city, but however, it is middle school, high school, elementary school, and it's just elementary, special ed. There's some support and related staff in there as well, but I'm sorry, as an OT, SLP teachers in the room, even a tech teacher is there, which is wonderful to see a tech teacher in the room. But what's beautiful about this, we got to speak about all the way from landscaping, all the way to assessments, all the way to copy machines, all the way. I'm excited to talk about the budget and even the legislative agenda of the district, and how we can all support and have a voice in this, and how we can really drive this forward and move forward, because it's a betterment for the students. That's what we're in this business for, is for the children.
Right. None of us would exist if not
Absolutely.
for the students. That gives us an opportunity to talk about something else, a little off the subject for just a moment. And I don't know if you two are aware of this, but October 2013 will be remembered, at least at APS forever, as the month that we were able to welcome the Council of Great City Schools. We'll be hosting the annual Council of Great City Schools conference, or fall conference, in October. And the council, if you're not familiar with the council, is an organization built of 66 of the largest urban school districts in America. Wow. Invaluable resource, because what the council does is advocate for the 7 million students that they collectively represent and their staff. So they're able to, on the Hill in Washington, advocate for programs that matter, for funding, for the rest of it. Superintendent Winston Brooks was chair of the organization last year and has rallied hard to bring the convention here, which will happen. So one of the other fascinating things that's going to happen during that time is that they have what they call the Richard R. Green Urban Educator Award. Richard R. Green was a former chancellor of public schools in New York City, and he was also a superintendent in Minneapolis, and every year they pick someone in the country who best represents what he embodied in terms of leadership and dedication, his whole life being dedicated to making things better for children who attend public schools. And one of our board members is a finalist for that award this year.
Wonderful.
That is David Piercy. David, of course, Dr. Piercy is a senior scientist at Sandia. He's a voice of reason sometimes for us. And we have a short clip that we want to share on Dr. Piercy and the award that he's a finalist for.
We're very fortunate here in the Albuquerque Public Schools to have a board member such as David Piercy, who is very supportive of fine arts. He has been very instrumental in helping us to develop our APS Elementary Honor Choir. In addition to that, he also performs with the APS Elementary music teachers on stage accompanying the students, which is a great treat for the students and for the audience as well to see a school board member actually on stage with the kids.
In my 20 years as being a superintendent of an urban school district, I'm not sure I've ever met a person quite of the quality of David Piercy. He's brilliant, a chief scientist at Sandia National Labs. He's extremely logical though, and he thinks about always kids are first in his mind, and that's how he makes all of his decisions. So I just think he's probably one of the most outstanding school board members that I've ever had the opportunity to work with.
He also has a vast knowledge of the accountability system within our state, and he has an understanding of that really helps us meet those challenges and meet the needs of our students.
Well, Dave Piercy has contributed mightily to the Albuquerque Public School Board. His sense of intellect is unmatched. His sense of passion for students and teachers and staff of this district is phenomenal. And he brings just a great dose of basic common sense to how we run the district. I think he's very committed to improving our district on a policy level, on a basic level of professional development for our teachers and staff, with very close eye on special education issues.
Dr. Piercy had an interest in policy, so he's perfect for the chair of the policy committee. I would say that his greatest accomplishment from my view is being able to, in a very short period of time, be able to get our policies into shape and subsequently then making our board a much stronger board. So I think this school district and the Board of Education and Administration owes a great deal of gratitude to Dr. Piercy for all of his committed and dedicated service towards working on those policies.
The best of luck to Dr. Piercy. We're very proud of him. And finally, as we close the show out this afternoon, this day, I'd like to get some final thoughts from both of you in terms of looking down the line, especially for you, Nicholas, as you, I'm sure, look at colleges and your years ahead. What do you think the experience of Super SAC will have done for you?
Well, for me, I'm going into politics and a lot of social, political science and a lot of communication and those kind of things. So for me, Super SAC is kind of like this, it's this internship that I can use for future references, also as a future experience that will help me within colleges, that will help me within jobs that I might be looking for. It will help me in group activities, in getting to communicate with other people, possibly around the world, possibly around the state. So I think that's something that Super SAC will fully help me with. It also help me with networking and connections. You know, it's really great to say that the superintendent knows me, and it's very exciting for me. I mean, like I get shocked. I'm like, yes, wow. You're going up those steps, and so he knows people, and so you kind of like you get this network, and when you network and you connect with other people, you can kind of start making the changes that you want to. You can speak your voice from the minority, and you could speak your voice to them, to the majority. And you could say, this is what my colleague's saying, and I was wondering if you can possibly maybe look at this issue. And I think that's something that's really great. I mean, that's something that we do here in the United States. That's how we get things done is we communicate and we talk about policies and issues that need to be changed. And so I think that's just the really greatest factor of Super SAC is it will help me within the future to possibly get jobs, possibly get more internships. You know, hopefully one day I'll make it a senator of New Mexico or even president and those kind of things. And so I'm really excited to take the knowledge that I've gained from Super SAC, especially as a senior because I'm graduating, and take that knowledge and really put it into the careers that I'm looking towards.
Wonderful. Well, I'm sure if I've been with Albuquerque Public Schools 8 years, and I can tell you that it certainly has expanded my horizons. I have joked that I would have had to have gone back for my PhD to learn what I've learned in the last 8 years.
You
There's
learn
so
stuff
much
from other people, and that's the great thing is you actually get to talk to people.
You do.
And what do they know? You know, what can you get from them that can help you within the future? So that's exciting.
And it's wonderful to see you so enthusiastic. Thank you so much for
you
being a
very
part of
much.
that. What would you say, Jonathan? How is this going to help long-term in your work as a teacher?
I just want to tell you, it's been great. It's been an opportunity to get to work with see the students and speak to them on this side of the, on this table,
Yes.
and getting to meet with them at administration as you receive emails in your APS email box, you don't know who these people are. And what's beautiful about this is that you really get to see the real face and these people are real and their intentions are well. My hope and dream for this, since we had our first meeting, we'll have our second meeting here at the end of this week, is to really get the true voice of teachers into the room, and the employees of the district, and really be able to drive this forward and helping us all together become successful. And I think it's exciting, the work we're going to be doing. There's been a lot of dialogue, and it's wonderful to be able to directly comment about a situation to the direct department and to the superintendent. Where is this going to take me? I have my love and dream is education. That's what I live and breathe. This is my hobby. This is what I do for fun. That's what I do for fun. My dad works on cars. I happen to teach, and that's something I love to do. But I don't know where this takes me. I only do things that I love, and this is where I'm currently at right now. Is I love doing what I'm doing right now.
Well, we are so appreciative of both of you, and of course our teachers. There's nothing to take the place of good, passionate teachers. There isn't. Every one of us has a story about someone who's made a difference. I feel very, very lucky to say I have many stories. I'm a product of public education, native New Mexican. Both my boys are both, I do call them boys at 18 and 21, both in college. Albuquerque Public Schools did wonderful by them, and I know with teachers like you in the classroom, there'll be families saying that down the line. We always encourage people to read more and to know more. We hope to follow both Super SAC and Teacher SAC closely through our publications at aps.edu, and I imagine at some point the Teacher TAC may be starting its own Twitter account or Facebook so that people can follow there. And people your age are addicted to technology.
Well,
so
so we'll be all over social
yeah,
media.
I've been in those meetings where you see the tweets come across from you know, what all of the students in the room are wanting to talk about. And I will say that one of the things that I was most struck by at the last meeting was how few of the students in there were even at this point aware of what they needed to graduate, because that formula continues to evolve, and we've really tried to get that information out. But at your age, really at any age, but once a student starts hitting, you know, middle school and things really matter, there's a genuine need to inform and to make sure that the information is correct. So we hope that you'll also share that with your colleagues.
Definitely.
And if there's anything that you'd like to ask of the administration, I guess this is a good time to do so.
Well, I just have to say I'm very proud to have educators like you to be educating us for the future. I mean, I know that a lot of my teachers over at ECA, I'm very proud to call them my teachers and educators. I call them educators instead of teachers because they really are focused, and they really try and push us and drive us to want to actually do something with our lives and really succeed within the future. And so I'm really thank you guys for being such amazing educators, and especially kindergarten, right?
Yeah, kindergarten.
Yes, kindergarten.
Yes,
To educate kindergartners. I mean, my brothers are actually in first grade this year, but to see them grow is an amazing experience as a brother to see young children grow.
Absolutely,
Is
absolutely.
awesome, and I bet it's awesome for you guys.
It
And
is.
so I thank you. It's a great honor to be here.
One of the most exciting events occurred this past week when a student shared with me as I was starting my lesson. He said, "I'm excited," and I'm going. And I said, "What are you excited about?" "I don't know, but I'm excited too. I'm excited to be here." And those are the things that are most valuable in how you have a positive impact on our society and a positive impact in a child and in a family. That is what we're about. That's what this profession is about, to really support those students.
And we're just about out of time, so there's no opportunity to talk this, but maybe we'd like to invite you back at some other time, because families do matter and showing up matters a great deal.
Absolutely.
And one of the things people don't realize is one of the biggest areas where we struggle with truancy is at kindergarten. But that's a topic for another time.
Parent involvement is what
and
it
we'll
is.
never be out of
Absolutely.
topics. I mean, that was what was most exciting when this, when the city was generous enough to offer this time, is we'll never be out of topics. But today, we are out of time. And so we greatly appreciate you joining us. This has been APS 30, and we look forward to seeing you next time.